everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tammy Doe, and today's episode we have someone super cool here. This is Tara. She is in the program with me. And introduce yourself, Tara.
I'm Tara. I like to tell people I'm a dam engineer, so you can just take what you want out of that one. And Tammy and I met our very first weekend together in the program. And what's really interesting about how we met is that I just kept sitting next to her and her bag of Moldavite.
Right? Moldavite brings us together. But today's episode, we just really want to go over like two powerful women, right? Both backgrounds, like normal people. 7 years financial advising, and how long as an engineer?
I've been an engineer for 23 years.
23 years. And you first started out like a dam engineer, like literally work on dams.
I literally work on dams. Yeah, that's been the last 14 years I work on dams. And my first degree is in geology. So that's a little bit of my background.
Right. I remember when I first sat next to her, and I knew Moldavite, but I just didn't know the scientific side, and I found out she works in the dams and with the different rocks. So I was like, oh my God, maybe you can help me figure out like all this merge of science with Moldavite, right? Because now we're both in this program together, both 3D world, like our previous life, very structured, believe this, and this. And now both of us are entering this program. We started at the same time?
Mm-hmm. We started at the same time.
Same time. And now we're like, what is happening? Right? It's one thing to like hear psychics say all this woo stuff, but it's another thing to experience it and uncollapse our background. It's insane. But yeah, what has been your experience so far?
Yeah, so my experience has been when I went to that weekend where I met Tammy, I had just barely stepped into the world of energy and woo, and I was super resistant to it because I am very much an engineer and was just raised that way.
Yeah.
So the idea around like feeling energy, or even that like I feel this rock around my neck, right? That didn't really play into my reality at all. So what I started to notice though is that I kept sitting next to her, and I was actually feeling kind of sick. I felt kind of nauseous. My head would get I'd get kind of like dizzy. And by the end of the weekend, Tammy walks up to me and she said, "So which one of these is yours?" Then we started in the ESM program together, and I had the Moldavite, and it was like an accelerator. It just felt like it blew open my entire reality. So much so that after a couple months, it went into a closet. On a top shelf in the back in a box, I had to put it there for a little while because there were so many things happening in my life that were just it was like hanging on to a roller coaster ride, I would say, those first few months. And just trying to like really uncollapse like what I've been taught, how I've been raised, what I've ingrained in me, and then come around to maybe there's something else out there. There's something else that's in play. There's a bigger picture, and all that, all of that energy stuff.
I think the one thing I really remember from that first weekend together, was it the first weekend? Did you mention something about you want to start like Engineer Anonymous? Or what was it?
Engineers Anonymous, did I say that? I feel like you said that.
Or you wanted to create some kind of group for like engineers to come out to the woo side.
To the woo side. Yeah, let's get all of us in the woo. So the big thing for me has been like, how do I basically integrate, right? So I've kept everything very separate. I still have my engineering job. I'm practicing, and I'm feeling energy. I can sense entities. There is stuff happening that I was just like, for real this is happening? Like, you guys, it feels like ghosts. There's ghosts around me all the time.
Right. Have you guys worked with an engineer? Like me being my business financial advising, like I resist engineers. I don't want to work with them because they break down everything and then question everything. Oh my gosh. It's like I just don't want to deal with it. It's like so overwhelming for me.
I break down everything. And I question everything.
Right? And then so now like she's gonna engineer anonymous or whatever that
I'm
is.
gonna start Engineers Anonymous. I'm gonna bring it all together.
Yeah.
We're all gonna learn how to communicate and be nice to each other. And we're all gonna just tune into the energy.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's like when I think about doing that, it's about how do I bring this to how do I bring this to work without them thinking I'm crazy? I'm working on that part right now. How do I bring it to work and they don't think I'm like gone off the deep end? Because we are very linear as engineers, and we like things that we can touch. We like things that we can see. We like things we can calculate. Talking to ghosts is something that's a little bit different.
Oh my god. Sometimes she picks up entities that I'm not. Oh, they're here?
I don't know, my entities, her entities, the house entity, who knows?
Right? And that like it's so like you bring this to the office, you talk about this like, have you seen a therapist? So now we just like bring it to the masses. Like I talk about alien like no other. We feel it. This is stuff we can't deny.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember a question that was asked, I think it was our second weekend in the program that we did, when everyone in the room was asked if they were clear that they were from another planet, and I sat there like looking at everyone raising their hands and wondering, what are they talking about?
Have you found your roots yet?
I have found my roots. So I guess I identify as coming from Sirius, and when I talked to a psychic,
Yeah.
she was like, "Yeah, lots of engineers come from Sirius." Okay, that's where we're all from. I think my colleagues might be a little surprised at that one.
Wait, so any engineers here who wants to be a part of Tara's Engineer Anonymous group? I mean, that's a possibility. Are you going to create that? Are you looking to create that?
I'm not going to create that.
I'm just saying, if any engineers out there who's watching this or has engineers in their life who want some direction around here.
Yeah, if you want to like talk to me, because I feel a little bit isolated and alone, I gotta be honest, because I'm not actually. This is what I find. I find that some of us have a spiritual awakening, such as I'm having, and then if we're engineers, sometimes we go, "Oh, can't handle that anymore. I'm gonna go over here and be my intuitive, wooey self." Doing something else that's, that you're being called to do. The thing is that I'm being called to actually bring the change to my industry and to people around me, and that means staying in the industry. And I feel a little bit like a Lone Ranger at the moment because I haven't quite figured out how to translate. Very clear I'm a bridge. I haven't figured out how to translate it.
What if you name it like Damn Engineer Anonymous?
No, I gotta get all the engineers. My husband's an engineer too, and he's a mechanical engineer, and I'm a civil engineer, so it's just gotta be all of us.
Oh man, that's so much uncollapsing.
I got a big job ahead of me.
Yeah, I get goosebumps. It's right. Being in her shoes, like, I'm not gonna start uncollapsing all this woo stuff and explain to the engineers. That's a lot of breakdowns.
I don't want to give anyone a breakdown.
And you can figure that part out. So now we're gonna like start bridging, right? Like she's good with the analytical stuff, and then spiritual stuff. Now we're both tuned in. So yeah, let's see like what you found out about Moldavite on the scientific side. So this would be an interesting video.
Yeah, do you guys all know where Moldavite comes from? So what we call a meteorite is like a rock that actually hits the earth that comes from space. So a meteor burns up in the atmosphere. Those are like the shooting stars and stuff that we see. That's a meteor. A meteorite is the one that actually makes it all the way through our atmosphere, 17,000 miles an hour, and then slams into the planet. So there's been a few really big impacts. Luckily, none in my lifetime. And one of those impacts are where this little guy comes from. So Moldavite is actually glass because when the meteor hit the ground, it was so hot and it was so violent that it melted everything around it. And so the Moldavite glass is actually, or they're called impactites or tektites. That's like the product of what the meteor hit. So it hit and it melted everything, and then it cooled down real fast, and that's why it looks all it looks kind of glassy, and it's got air bubbles in it, and it has some other stuff in it. So it's mostly like made from this planet, but then it also has probably a little bit of dust or something from whatever hit from space. Mm-hmm. So that is how the Moldavite was formed, and that crater is in Germany. But the Moldavite is actually, a lot of it's found in the Czech Republic, right?
Mm-hmm. The impact hit in Germany, but spread around it made the formation of these Moldavites. Mm-hmm. So I saw some fake ones at, do you know the difference between like regular glass and impact glass?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
I do.
Yeah, because there's fake ones. I saw the gemstone, I'm like, it looks really fake, but it's plastic glass.
Yeah. So here's the thing. They were using this in jewelry in like the 1800s. So they found the Moldavite and they started making it into jewelry in the 1800s. And then I think when scientists figured out that it was like from a meteorite impact, then it became like a high demand thing and everybody wanted it. And then fakes started to come out. So there's actually some jewelry from that time period, like the 1850s to, sometime in the 1900s, that what people thought they were buying was actually not Moldavite. It ended up being just green glass. So
there's a lot out there too right now.
Right, and it's just because it's become rare because it's been mined out. Then it's been a lot of there's been a lot of fakes made, and there's still fakes being made today. And so you just have to be really careful and know what you're buying. And probably the easiest way for me to tell is to look at it through light and see if you see a whole bunch of air bubbles. Because a real Moldavite has a ton of air bubbles in it. And they can't replicate that with glass.
Yeah. And I'll show you guys some close-up image macro shots of the Moldavites I have. And you can clearly see the bubbles. And there's different streaks too. But it's insane how much fake is out there. And people are actually selling for thousands of dollars on eBay, and every time I see these, I just get, I don't know, I was like, wow,
frustrated.
That would be the word, angry, angry.
Well, and I think that like you just use a little bit of common sense. So if it's like a big sphere being sold for, I don't know, a few $100s,
you just pull one up for $1,000.
Yeah, I can't remember which one. It wasn't Moldavite, that was something else.
Oh, it was the Sintamani.
The Sintamani, yeah.
Like dig into meteorite stones.
Yeah,
it's so interesting.
So interesting. And I just knew meteorites had hit the earth. That's about all I knew up until now. What was it? So yeah, with the tektite, with the Moldavite glass, it's because it's so rare. If it looks like it's a really good deal, it's probably not a really good deal. It's probably fake, right? And you can get it and then look at it and decide for yourself. There are other ways to tell too, but the easiest way I think is looking for the bubbles and for the streaks that you see through it.
Did you dig into like what it's made of, the components?
Well, it really is glass because when it's I didn't find what rocks around there probably were fused together, but it's probably a combination of rocks and soil, sand. And so you melt any of that and then it essentially becomes a glass. And the reason why it's glass instead of a crystal is because it got melted and then it cooled really fast. It just didn't have time to, because it probably got thrown in the air. That's one of the things. And cooled as it fell down. And as that happens, it doesn't have enough time to form any kind of structure that would make it look like a crystal. And that's why they look kind of like wavy, and they don't really look like much of anything in the raw form other than like a wavy chunk of glass, because that's literally what it is. But I don't think that they haven't found, let's see, the color in it. Okay, so I do know the color. It's green because it has a little bit of iron in it. And that's the thing about meteorites. Meteorites usually have a lot of iron in them. And that's one of the reasons why, if they've hit millions and millions of years ago, like this one did, we may not actually find the actual meteorite, because iron rusts in our atmosphere and they basically just disintegrate over time. So by the time we're looking at it, we're not going to see the actual rock. We just see what's left behind this stuff. Does that make sense?
So maybe there's no existence of the original Moldavite?
There might, yeah, so like the rock that hit the earth is not Moldavite.
Right. But
Right?
the
The original rock that hit the earth, I didn't find anything that shows that they have samples of it. And like,
huh?
so like you asked me to look at the Libyan desert glass. That one, they for sure have not found that meteorite. They've never found that one. Okay. And it's the same type of thing. It's a glass. That one's clear and like can look yellow because it's in the desert. It's on the border of Libya and Egypt where they found it, and it's sand. So the sand gives it that color. You get the yellows and more browns rather than the greens of the Moldavite.
Wow, Egypt is super holy or sacred. I didn't realize we're next to Libya.
Yeah, it's on the border, and the desert glass was used in the ancient Egyptians' jewelry. So there's actually there's a piece of from Tutankhamun. There's a big piece of it in they call it a pectoral, so a pectoral plate or something.
Is it the whole chest piece?
The chest piece, yeah.
Was it
there's a big
bird
piece
or the beetle? I saw
the scarab beetle that's on that has a big piece of Libyan glass in it. So yeah, that's been pretty sacred for a while, or definitely used in jewelry.
Yeah, like the Egyptian, they're like really advanced. Now looking back at it, it's like we are behind. And Egyptian is all about crystal energy. They wear so many crystals, especially lapis lazuli.
Yeah, I mean, I think that some of that is like coming around though, because the cultures that came before ours, especially our westernized culture, we're so in tune with the earth and the energies and the seasons, and like there's a lot of attunement to what was actually going on in nature. And so that's why sometimes it feels like they were actually more advanced in terms of being in tune with nature and stuff, because as we industrialized and became modernized, we started to lose that, and we kind of got like this rise of kind of the patriarchal energy of we're doing things and we're in control and the humans control everything, and then being told like what it is that we can believe or not believe. Just that whole rise of the industrial way that we live now, and has kind of that pushed aside the attunement that we had with the earth and with the energy and with everything around us, and it in some ways really just took away our sense of wonder, right? Mm-hmm. So but I feel like at this point, like we're really coming back around to integrating that into our society, basically. So I think there's a shift going back towards pulling the divine feminine energy back into what we're doing. It doesn't mean that we cast aside everything that we're doing. It doesn't mean that we cast aside technological advancement. It doesn't mean that for me personally, it means I don't cast aside my engineering career. Like I could just go off and decide I'm gonna be a psychic. I'll just be a psychic engineer is what I've decided. Um,
Engineer Anonymous.
yeah,
Damn engineers.
engineers. Uh-huh. But you know, it's just that we can start to integrate all of this, and we can come in and be whole with the, you know, kind of the what's been a separation of essentially two different energies, the masculine and the feminine.
Yeah, that's really true because when I like walked away from my financial advising background, I mean, it was a I didn't know what else to do, and if I let all my license lapse, I can't use it anymore, right? I have to retake all these tests, and it's hard. Oh my gosh! And so I kind of just like pushed the whole financial field away, and then now it's coming full circle because now I'm helping finding money as energy,
Mm-hmm.
and now just finding where they want to come in from, right? It's so interesting how it just completely shift our focus working with energy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good point you made, just integrating the two, because through this whole time, I just like pushed, like I kind of resented that career just because I've been in it for so long. It's like, man, I just walked away and like in that career, I really didn't want to be there. And just walking away from it, I just like let it go. But then now it's like it's coming back. So it's interesting to observe.
Yeah. And I think that I went through a similar thing. Earlier this year, I had to renew my professional engineering license, and I actually forgot. And then I had this whole thing around. I had this whole judgment over I forgot. That means I'm supposed to be leaving. I'm supposed to be getting out of it. I'm supposed to be doing something different. And I mean, it ended up that I just basically had to pay them an extra $10 or something because I was late on renewing it. Uh, but I was in that energy of like, screw this, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm gonna go find something else and it's gonna be better and all of this. And I've actually come back around to in the last several months of, well, you know, I appreciate everything that my schooling and my career have done for me because it's it's basically prepared me for this next step.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I can still stay grounded and not go flying off into the ethers, partially because I am very firmly grounded in the 3D world.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. But I can tell you that.
It's a little bit like I'm anchored to it. You know, I need a little like shove. That's where the Moldavite comes in. The Moldavite will give you a little shove.
Like a push.
A little push.
Down the hill. Or like
You'll find, you may find some people who also give you a little push. I found my people who gave me pushes.
Yeah, it's just so refreshing being around you guys, right? Just being Shano's the other person who's like she's a architect, was it?
She's a landscape architect.
Landscape
Yeah.
architect.
Yeah.
And we did a video together, and I just call her a normal person because she's like not into this woo stuff either. And it's, like, it's so funny how you guys came around. I mean, I thought I was a little bit woo before, but now like we just got into the deep end of woo.
We did.
But it's so freeing.
It's totally freeing. What for me has been super interesting is how I was putting on everybody who was healing people, like people that I worked with who were healers, that was their thing and they were the healer. And so even though they say the healing is inside of you, so the healing's inside of me, and they facilitate the healing, right? But it was still that they were the ones with the superpowers. They had the superpowers, not me. But what I've come around to in this year is that, oh, actually, we are all capable of having these superpowers. We're all intuitive. We all feel energy. We all feel emotions. We all feel other people's emotions, whether we recognize it or not. And it's learning how to integrate and use all of that would make us all powerful.
This is coming from an engineer, a damn engineer. Just FYI. But yeah, that's like today's video. It was originally supposed to talk about like in depth the structure and all this scientific stuff about Moldavite and Meteorite. But I feel like people need to hear what it's like coming from an engineer with Moldavite. So yeah, we're probably gonna do another episode. Well, we plan on it. Going to the Garden of the Gods. I mean, she's gonna help dissect that, like go around the Garden of God and kind of go over the structure of the rocks, like the energy. I think that'd be a super interesting episode. And Tara is going to have a YouTube channel. Well, she's setting up right now. So make sure it's in the information below. If you are in this, if you want to be part of the Engineer Anonymous. Or just kidding. Just follow the engineers. If you're super analytical, she would be a great person to see what's unfolding.
And if you want to read more, if you're into reading, I have a blog called An Engineer Becomes a Mom. That blog actually started because me and my husband were adopting our kids, and so it's about that. And then it turned into I'm having a spiritual awakening and all the things that went along with that in the last 3 or 4 years. So you can go check that out if you like to read stuff too.
Oh yeah, any readers out there? We're just having conversations like, I am not a reader, but she's all about reading, right? And so now we're gonna bring it all.
Bring it all.
Bring it all.
Yep.
But yeah, so all of her information is in the description below. So check it out. Thank you, Tara. And we will see you guys next time, probably at Garden of the Gods. But that's all we have for you guys today. Timmy Doe and Damn Engineer signing off.